Flawless Lawns Ocala has multiple packages to fit any budget starting as low as $20 weekly. Call Ashley at 352-286-5300. For more info, that's 352-286-5300.
It is In the Garden with Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin. If you want to be a part of the program, give us a call at 622-9622. Carol Ann will take all your questions about your garden, your flower beds, your lawn, your trees, water runoff, what's good water, what's bad water. She knows it all. She's a lot smarter than me when it comes to this kind of thing. Carol Ann, good morning.
Good morning, Tom. How are you doing this morning?
I got my snorkel and came on into work.
Got your ducky wings and that. Yeah, I know. Yesterday it was like, oh my God, I'm gonna need a floaty.
Bad storms came through last night.
They did.
The tail end of the front is when you look at the weather map and you see all the snow that was happening in Dallas,
and all those,
and then it moved across and went up north, and it was Atlanta was getting ice, and North Carolina, Boone. I got friends in Boone that said it started snowing big flakes yesterday about 4 in the afternoon. They got 1.5 feet of snow overnight.
Wow.
New York's getting hammered. But those fronts, when you look at them, they always have that. It's like a dog.
There's a tail.
Front's like a dog.
You got that,
and they got the tail, and Florida always gets the tail wag.
We get the wag. Yeah, we get the wag of the tail. But a lot of times, at least we didn't get the cold. We were the most hated state in the nation.
Because it came through, but we didn't get the cold.
We didn't get the cold from it, which, thank God. Yeah, I mean,
some people say it's 59 degrees outside Carolina. That's cold.
I have a jacket on.
I know.
And long pants.
Right. I have on flip-flops and shorts.
I know, but it's like, I woke up and oh, man, it's chilly. I got to do this again.
But you know what I found unusual about last night's storms? Was usually as the tail comes across Florida.
Yeah.
It starts to break up and the tail gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And usually it's right about the Ocala area that get the
little tail. Right. We get the sprinkles out of it.
Well, this tail stayed all the way through Fort Myers.
Yes, it did.
It did not fall apart. And these were strong thunderstorms.
And it didn't fall apart because we got one, I want to say at like 2 o'clock this morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
They came through again. We had the 10 o'clock, 10
o'clock, all hell broke loose.
With all the lightning and all of that stuff. And I'm watching the news at 10 o'clock, and they're going, oh, yeah, this is you can see it's starting to break up out. But it really didn't over us here in what they consider north central Florida. We're a little more central Florida than.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not north central Florida.
Not really. That's when you cross State Road 40.
I think Gainesville's the last.
State Road 40 is supposed to be the line, but the Orlando stations consider us north central Florida. And it's like, come on, we are more central than Melbourne
Gainesville's
is.
north central Florida.
Yeah.
40 miles north of us.
Right.
I think I would, and I know that they use the brake line as Highway 40, but I like to use the Paynes Prairie as the brake line because that's where the jet stream.
Actually, I used to feel it because I lived in Ocala. My daughter went to school at Vanguard.
Right.
Because she was in the IB program. And I would have to drive her to school. And I didn't have heat in my car.
Right.
And as I would take her up, I could cross 40 just fine. When 27 broke off, you'd get that chill down your back when that temperature just dropped 3 degrees.
Right.
And that's where that cutoff line was.
But I just always know Gainesville's 6 to 7 degrees cooler than we are.
Right. The same way we're like that much to Orlando.
Right.
Yeah, we are, and that's when they group Melbourne in with Central Florida with Orlando. It's
and
like
me, Melbourne's
South Florida. To me as well. It is.
But according to the way they look at it, the Cape, and it's because Orlando wants to be able to report on the Cape.
Exactly.
That's
and Ocala, Ocala gets left out.
That's why we do this show.
Yeah.
That's why we do the show Ocala Talks. That's why you're here and everything.
And yeah, I
So we
mean,
get
on
news of Ocala.
even watching the Gainesville station, it's like we get left out. You watch the Daytona station, we get left out. We might get that vague mention when you were talking about the horse fever,
Right.
and it's like, oh yeah, that's such a great thing, and how. In other areas, it hasn't worked, and in some that has. And it's like, why is that not on more of the news stations? Because they all seem to wish to promote the arts in communities, and here's one that's a great thing, and you don't see it.
Yeah, you don't
Maybe
see
out
it.
of the Gainesville station it did, but I wasn't watching that one today. I don't
watch the Gainesville station.
Yeah.
My local stations are Orlando. all
Yeah,
of them.
that's what I end up with the Orlando one.
Somebody says, well, you put an antenna up, you can get the Gainesville station. I'm good.
Not always.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. So last night, though,
Right.
that rain that happened last night,
Yeah.
not really good because of how fast and how hard it
was,
came down.
yeah, I got almost 2 inches of rain
I
yesterday.
got 1.7 yesterday.
Okay. Mine was a little closer, like a 1.8, 1.9. Yeah.
But it came down so fast.
So
that
hard.
The
Yeah.
retention pond behind my house has standing water in it. It never has standing water in it.
Well, we had rain. We had it during the day.
Right.
And we had some the day before, so that ground got a little wet
Saturated.
in there, got a little saturated. It's probably by this afternoon, by about
be
5
fine.
o'clock this afternoon, it'll either be gone or down quite a bit. But yeah, you're right. I mean, a lot of runoff happened. I think I've mentioned before that where I'm at, I'm a little more on the top of a hill that slopes down away from me, and there's a swampy area the one block over, and yeah, that had water in it this morning when I went by, and part of the road had eroded.
Yet again, another reason why people should have listened to you and not fertilized yet.
Right. Yeah, that we had two inches, and the one before that I had 2.5 inches, I think, the week before.
So if you put fertilizer out, it's gone down the drain.
Right. It's not going to give you that 3 months of fertilization.
Nah, it's been
And
washed away.
your weed, if you'd have put your weed and feed down sometime last week, the effectiveness is,
You
at
bring
least
up
50%.
you bring up weed and feed, and that brings
Yeah.
up a question I wanted to ask
Yeah.
you, because last week it was all most of the days were in the 70s,
Oh, it's
some of them in the
gorgeous.
80s.
They were gorgeous. Yeah.
So I noticed yesterday
yeah.
my grass has jumped.
Yeah, it's the rain,
The rain and the heat.
the rain and the warmth. It is waking up.
Right.
It is definitely waking up.
But there's still, if you look at the Farmer's Almanac, and
There's-
if you look at the month projection, there's still, in the next 10 days, there's
we
still one
have
more
some-
cold snap.
Yeah, we have, and I believe, because it figures, I believe I'm off, where they're talking about lows around 36 degrees.
Yes.
And I'm going, really? I've had enough. Friday night.
Yeah, Friday and Saturday.
Friday night, Saturdays around 40. But yeah, we're looking, it's February.
Right, it is.
It's just because we had some nice weather, and I've talked to a lot of people going, well, yeah, they have come by and mowed. I said, but they cleaned it up. The grass itself probably did not need to be mowed. They cleaned off the leaves. The weeds that were growing were
Right.
now mowed off, and it looks
And that's what
nice.
it looks like. On my side yard and backyard, it's the weeds. that
The
come
weeds have popped up. They're really nice and green. Your grass is probably greening up, but the grass is not needed to be mowed yet. It's still coming out of that, and we want the grass to come out on its own. Don't force that up and out of dormancy, because it's not going to do any good. Well, we just had these late winter storms can be quite severe in the amount of rain. You want to wait till that grass is actually going to use that product. Where that weed killer is actually, now weed killers we have been putting down since about the first of the month. If you've had a problem in the past with crabgrass, we put down those crabgrass controls the 1st of February and again the 15th of March. But then we're the 15th of February now. If you'd have put that down the 1st of February, we weren't having that rain.
Right.
So it had that chance to begin to work on
You
those
put anything
germinating crabgrass seeds that would have been coming up last week.
You put anything down in the last week, though, it's probably
It's a good
washed
chance
away.
it's washed away, and its effectiveness is much diminished.
Hi, caller, you're on with Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, Hugh.
Yeah, we had a 2-incher here too. You know, in the last 2 weeks, we're getting close to 5 inches of rain.
Yes. Yep, that's
And this is supposed to be the dry season, so I'm kind of happy about it. And like our retention ponds are small lakes, and I think it was a terrible storm last night. All I got to do is look and ask my dog. That poor thing was just terrorized for about 3 hours.
yeah. That lightning was something. I know. The one before 10 o'clock, that earlier one, I had a phone call going, this lightning's looking like that storm we had, that March 13th storm, which was what, almost 20 years ago? Pushing 18, 19 years ago, where they had that bad March storm had come through. But I mean, the lightning was spectacular.
That was the one with the
ice and everything up, and it was a non-hurricane.
Right.
Yeah.
Say, you guys are talking a little bit about the grass, and I know you are going to later in the program.
Sure.
I got the dog. I'm walking the dog quite a bit, and you were talking about clover. I think it was the last program.
Yeah.
And how some people actually they want clover, and there's a property not too far down the road that I go by, and it's totally clover, and it's just beautiful.
Sure.
Now, clover is wild because when I had my home over in Silver Spring, I always had a little clover mixed in with my grass. But if a person wanted to, let's say, have an all clover lawn, how would you start it? Is there like clover seed, or how do you do that?
Yeah, there sure is. You can actually, I don't think you can buy it locally in a store, but you could get a bag of seed for it, online, and plant clover.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it makes a beautiful little ground cover. The little flowers are adorable. I mean, I remember loved playing with it. When I was a kid.
Right. If I was to start over again, I think I would go for a clover lawn because it looks great, and I think it's pretty hardy as far as the heat and the cold. It just might be a more practical lawn to have.
And it can be. I'm not sure the durability through the winter months, if that's more of a summer weed. I'd have to actually look that up. Or summer weed, summer plant, or summer maybe perennial. I'm not sure if it's a perennial.
No, you said it right, weed.
Yeah, weed. Well, a weed is a plant that's grown where you don't want it. If you want a lawn of it, then it would be
still
lawn.
weed.
Yeah. But it may even work. Yeah, where people are always looking for something unique for a ground cover in flower beds, even. Of putting something down to where you don't have to mulch, or you don't have to, that it's going to help retain some moisture and things like that. And that might even fill the trick on some of that would not need fertilization and the rest of it.
Well, it comes back way before the lawn does. As you walk around here, you see clover for a while, or for good maybe even a month now, where the grass is just starting to come back pretty strong. So it's a quick starter.
Oh, sure. Yeah, it is one of those first things that are popping up, and and like we say, a lot of people consider it a weed, other consider it a wildflower. It may have its place in different areas, and it's going to be a visiting spot for bees and everything else. So it's one of those kind of plants that you may hate to love it or love to hate it.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're in for a little more rain the rest of the week, on and off. But like I say, it's welcome this time of year because I've lived here since '95, and we've gone through some mighty dry periods.
Certainly.
And it's always great to have. I don't like these electrical storms and all that, and wind and whatnot. But and the water comes down pretty fast, and I know some of it runs off. But at least the ground is pretty nice and moist right now. Right.
At least we've gotten some rain, and just looking over at the almanac on the weather page is that historically February we only get 3.39 inches of rain,
and we've already gotten
gotten close to 5 inches.
Right.
Yeah, a month to date, 4.85 inches is what they said. March is 4.5 inches, and April drops down to another one of our very dry months. Is on average, we only get just about almost 2.5 inches.
So halfway through February,
and we've already
blown
through our average rainfall. But we'd been dry.
We have been.
We had been dry, so I'm grateful to have it. I'm grateful that it. Just hate when it all comes down at once. for the sake that it does it is more difficult for the earth to process that through down to the aquifer, that it does cause some flooding and things like that in neighborhoods, or, retention ponds are now full and having to perk that back down through.
Yeah. If that would have been snow, we would have had it up to our necks.
Yeah, if we'd have had snow, I'd have been hiding under the covers.
They say for every inch of rain, it's 4 inches of snow, 3 inches
Something
of snow.
like that. Yeah, we were talking about that the other week.
Yeah, so that would have been 8 inches of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe an inch of rain is 10 inches of snow, I believe.
10 inches.
10 inches.
10 inches, yeah.
Huh.
We'll have to check that.
Yeah, we may have to do a Google search.
We may have to check that. Hey, Hugh, thanks for the call.
Okay, take care, you guys.
All righty.
10 inches.
Yeah, we're
that
going to have
sounds
to
a
put a
little-
Google search on that.
Yeah, we're going to have to. I'm going to Google search that now. It brings up a question, though. I noticed, and my lawn guy hasn't done anything about it, which I'm grateful for.
Right,
But I noticed that through a dormant winter,
right.
now the bushes are starting to.
Oh, because
they're
we had
squared
the
and
warm.
boxed,
Yep.
and now there's
There's-
some sprigs
Yeah,
coming up.
they're shooting up a little bit.
What do you got? Probably another 2 weeks, and then you can start trimming your
I would
bushes.
say, yeah. I would
The
say,
lawn guys left them alone.
right. I think this weekend coming is hopefully our last one. Just looking forward, I just brought up a 30-day, calendar through the Weather Channel, and we've got some cooler weather, but really it looks like we should be doing okay. I think it's
I'm looking to see how many inches of snow
right.
equals 1 inch of water.
Or how many inches of rain equals,
Equals,
figure out how to word that correctly.
1 inch of rain. Here we go. How many inches of snow equals 1 inch of rain? Ooh.
Yep.
Ooh.
What is
Okay,
it?
so last night we'd have got inundated.
Oh, yeah.
I mean inundated.
Oh, yeah.
According to NOAA,
Okay.
on average,
Okay.
1 inch of rain in the U.S.,
Excuse me. Equals.
and although the ratio could vary from 2 inches for sleet to nearly 50 inches for very dry, powdery snow under certain conditions, NOAA says 1 inch of rain equals 13 inches of snow.
So Hugh was
He was not
He was
right, but he was
right.
closer
He was.
than we
He
were.
was. Well, and on average, maybe that's
Right.
what it.
So think of
works
that. We'd have got
we'd have had-
26 inches. We got 2 foot, 2.5.
out. We'd have had
2 foot of
we'd
snow
had
last
2
night.
foot of snow last night. Wow. Thank God. Yeah, I mean, and
And once again, another reason
to
I'm
live.
glad
and
I live in Florida.
Yeah, here the sun's coming out. It's
Because I dealt with 28 inches of snow in 24 hours in Myrtle, North Carolina.
Oh yeah. And it's
It was ridiculous.
oh yeah.
But if it had been in Florida, it'd just been 2 inches of rain, 2.5
Yeah,
inches
2.5
of rain.
inches of rain. Yeah, we
That's
could
nothing.
survive with that.
That's-
Yeah,
that's-
I mean it's tough when it's coming down, and if you have to be out driving in it. Same thing if you were getting that kind of snow.
See?
It would be a little more,
people
because
say
it comes
that.
out. Well, when it's coming down that hard and you can't see where you're going.
See?
Yeah.
Put a little Rain-X on your windshield. You're fine.
I hate Rain-X.
You're fine. Literally, and I know some cop will pull me over now when he hears this on the radio.
Oh, that you don't have.
You
to
know how
turn
many
the wipers?
times I turn my wipers on ever?
Well, if you're using the Rain-X, if it's a light rain, it's a pain because it doesn't clear.
No,
fast
you have
enough.
to then.
But,
like
yeah.
yesterday, when I was coming, I was coming back. I was headed out to a poker tournament, and on the way out, I ran into a rainstorm in between Ocala and Orlando.
Okay.
And when I mean a rainstorm, I mean it was
One of
coming
those-
down.
Yeah, gully washer.
Right. But I was on the turnpike doing 75 miles an hour. Had the Rain-X on the windshield. Not once
Did you?
did I
have the
turn the
need to-
wipers on because there was no need.
Right. Right.
And I use the window washer fluid that has the Rain-X
has the
in it.
Rain-X in it.
And not once, but I get, I know this is Matt Gibbs' story for Matt Gibbs, but I get probably 3 times the life out of my wipers.
Oh, but see now, and it isn't one because anytime I've used that, I found my wiper blades wear out faster.
Yeah.
There gets a coating
Yeah,
on
but
that blade.
You have to clean your blades regularly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I
But
just change my blades regular. That's,
let me ask you, how good was it for the aquifer yesterday, though?
that'll take a little while for that to perk down because it there was a lot of runoff because
Right.
it did come down fast.
A lot of it went in drains.
A lot of it went down into the stormwater reclamation, and so that's where we have to be careful. That's where not putting down products right before rainstorms and rain events is very important, because now that whoosh down your street, out into the middle of the street, down into that storm sewer, down into whatever retention pond, and in a few days you'll start to see a green retention pond or whatever, and it's got to perk all that all of that through.
I gauge all my rain by the retention ponds at Muni.
Right.
And after yesterday, I drove by this morning on the way into work.
Right.
The pond that is on number 5, you could see the rocks 3 days ago.
Oh.
You can see the top of the rocks now.
There's little, used to be little mountains in there.
But that's because every bit of the runoff from that entire neighborhood runs into those retention ponds at Muni.
And everybody thinks, there's so many times that, especially during our dry times of year, or even in the summertime when it's raining, and you see sprinklers going on at the golf courses. The golf courses actually help us. I mean, they take that stormwater. They're irrigated with stormwater or reclaimed water.
Yes.
When you see those sprinklers going, it's because they're pumping those retention ponds out onto those courses in order to perk some of that water down through so it can take it off the city streets.
Right. Yeah, without a doubt.
That's where that's going. So and they do have their own regulations and different things like that. So don't necessarily curse them when they're blowing water out and it's raining in August. It's that they're emptying some of that retention area in order to hold more water.
I saw a retention pond yesterday that may be the biggest retention pond I've ever seen. I promise you this retention pond was every bit of 4 or 5 acres.
Wow.
It was a big retention pond.
Wow.
But it sits at the back of a probably 300 house subdivision.
Right. So it's taking
and it sits
all
at the bottom
that.
of the hill.
Right.
So everything runs
Right.
off into that retention pond.
Right, because especially if it's a subdivision, there's a lot more concrete, and things like that the lawns may not be big enough to take it, so they have to do something.
Yeah, they were only quarter-acre lots, so
right.
There's not a whole lot of grass.
Not a whole lot
going
of
there.
not a whole lot of lawn.
And this retention pond was gargantuan.
Yeah, massive.
And it had about, I would guess, you could see the water in it.
Right.
So probably 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches of water in it, which means a lot of rain's been accumulating.
Yeah, that's right. Right, that it has done its job. It has taken that water in, but it's also apparently going to be sufficient should there be a true rain, a tropical storm, hurricane, things like that will take in.
Because it had about 2 or 3 inches,
right, and
but
it could
only out in the center.
Right.
So
in the deepest section of it. Right.
Yeah, it didn't have any water. It wasn't like the whole bottom surface of it was full of water.
Right.
It was out. Probably about a half acre's worth of it out in the dead center.
Right.
Had water in it.
And
it was probably 30 foot deep.
Yeah, there's if anybody's familiar with South Pine near 80th, where there's a big RV place. Hopefully, there was always an issue with that section of road that would flood. I mean, that area is swamp.
Yeah.
That would. I mean, when we had the last tropical storm, they had the 3 pumps in the middle of 441 for 4 days.
Right,
pulling water out of there. They dug a big hole.
Well, yeah, because that RV place, I remember.
They were going underwater.
During the hurricane, during Irma, it flooded that thing.
Yeah.
Where they lost a bunch of RVs.
But they have dug a massive hole. It looks like they're working with water management or whomever in order to make this a proper, hopefully a proper retention area. But it has alleviated that flooding that happens when we get these heavy rains and that water just can't, it has to go somewhere.
Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin, it is In the Garden. You can be a part of the program. 622-9622 is the number to call. She'll answer all your questions about your garden, your fruit or vegetable garden. She'll answer your questions about your flower beds, your grass, your trees, your bushes. Any question you have, give us a call, 622-9622. We'll be right back after this short time out with In the Garden with Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin on WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with Lance Pry.
A civilian contractor was killed and 5 others were wounded in a rocket attack Monday at a U.S.-led military base in Kurdish, northern Iraq. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said in a statement Monday night, "We are outraged by today's rocket attack in the Iraqi Kurdistan region," end quote. The central government in Baghdad said it was forming a committee with the Kurdistan regional government to investigate the attack. The entire state of Texas is experiencing an unprecedented power shortage due to a severe winter storm that has taken over. The Electric Reliability Council of Texas declared the state of Texas at its highest emergency level because of low power supply and high demand. In Houston, there is no estimate when the power will come back on. Officials said it could be out for a couple of days. A 90-year-old Seattle woman, Fran Goldman, woke up to the snow on the day of her COVID-19 vaccination appointment. Too much snow to drive, she says, so she walked 6 miles through the snow to make it. USA Radio News.
Rockstar Radio. Did you know this station, this network, is looking for their next rock star broadcaster? That's right, we are. And it could be you. It could be you interviewing the guests, talking to the newsmakers right in the middle of everything. Have you ever dreamed of being a rock star show host? Now could be your chance. Together with this station, we'll help you with everything you need. The studios, the equipment, your own producer, a co-host if you'd like, and so much more. Broadcasting is changing. There's never been a need for fresh voices and unique opinions like there is right now. You can do this. Our professional team will guide you every step of the way. Sound effects, show content, building your social network media, and everything you need to be the next rockstar broadcaster. Get all the details. Email bill@rockstar.today. That's bill@rockstar.today. To get started with your own show, email bill@rockstar.today. That's bill@rockstar.today. Don't wait. You could be the next voice for America. Email bill@rockstar.today.
Think you know Dex Imaging? Think again. In the office, streamlining communications. In the field, delivering top-notch service, enhancing productivity and reducing downtime. In the data center, a part of the growing digital document revolution. In the world of business, supporting entrepreneurs and helping companies grow. In the forefront of technology, developing cutting-edge document management solutions. So if you think you know Dex Imaging, you don't know Dex.
Visit ocalafl.org/art park for tickets to Art Outside the Lines at Tuscarora Park on February 20th from 10 to 2. There'll be art, music, and so much more.
Help prevent the spread of germs. Wash your hands with soap and hot water for at least 20 seconds and always wash before you touch your face, eat, or drink. Use hand sanitizers. Limit sharing of eating utensils. Practice social distancing and avoid physical contact. Sneeze or cough into a tissue or the inside of your elbow. Avoid contact with ill individuals. An ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure. Download the free booklet at Scientology.org/stay well.
Hello, I'm Mark Sears with Regency Printing. With over 10 years in the printing business, I know you'll find Regency Printing the place for all your local printing needs. Plus, I have fax services, mailbox rentals, notary service, U.S. mail, pack and ship, all at one convenient location, 2375 Northeast 25th Avenue. Just look for the yellow signs. Regency Printing, 789-6683. That's 789-6683. Regency Printing.
Attention passengers for Flight 1370. The plane has been delayed at its departure point and will be at least 2 hours late. We apologize for any inconvenience.
Are you serious? It took us over an hour to get here, 2 hours going through security and getting our tickets, and now we have to wait another 2 hours.
Yeah, it's beautiful here, but we're inside this overcrowded airport all day because the plane is stuck in bad weather.
This is the last time we ever do this. When we get back, we're going to Ocala Aviation and getting our pilot's license.
Yeah, we've been talking about that long enough. It's about time we did it. Then we could just fly ourselves and never have to deal with this mess again.
Right. No long lines, no full body groping security, no baggage checks.
Not to mention never losing your luggage. Remind me again why we haven't done that?
Well, we're idiots.
Oh, right.
Attention all passengers for Flight 1370. It looks like the plane is going to be delayed a little bit longer. The airline has lost the pilot's luggage. Isn't it time you got your pilot's license? Call Ocala Aviation today. 352-861-7484. That's 352-861-7484. Hey, you've earned it. Call today.
Get it for less at the DIY Home Center outlet. Get top quality real wood cabinets the same or less than the big box stores are selling the cheap stuff. And that's not all. Drywall screws big box stores are $6.47 a pound. At DIY, only $4.99. Plus, DIY has the largest selection of mobile home parts and accessories anywhere. From carpet to doors, get the DIY supplies you need for less. The DIY Home Center outlet. We are your building material closeout store. 2191 Northwest 10th Street, just 2 miles east of I-75.
As the man says, it's Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin in the garden, and she will tell you what to do.
Yes.
If you have
me.
questions, 622-9622 is the number to call. You know, I was talking in the break. Some of the best conversations we have are in the break.
Oh, they always are. Yeah.
And I was talking in the break. I have a low spot right at the bottom of my driveway.
Right.
And it collects water, and it's about a foot wide by about 8 or 9 foot long.
Yeah.
Completely yellow this morning.
Yeah, it's all pollened out. Yeah,
is the pollen? Are we in the full pollen effect now?
It's coming on. It's coming on. My car hasn't been covered in it. Usually, I know it when I come out in the morning and it's like, whoa! I get
I've had
yellow.
the headache. I know I've had a little sinus issue
gotten a little itchy eye here and there. A little bit of the stuff. You wake up with a little bit of a stuffy nose because it's been nice enough to keep the windows open.
Right.
Yeah, and so. It's windows open and that. But
I hadn't noticed it on the car. But
I haven't seen it on the car. I haven't seen it on the sidewalk yet. But it's coming in. I know I've heard some pollen reports that it's been a little bit high. I should have looked that up when we were on break and just check the pollen. What the pollen counts are.
What causes pollen? You know, it's something I've never. I know it hurts my head.
Hurts your head, gives you itchy eyes.
But what causes pollen?
Pollen is from the flowers in the trees. It's the attraction to break. The bees come in.
That's what attracts the bees in.
That's it. Yeah, the pollen, the scent of the pollen. If you ever. A couple of the worst ones that if you work with plants and stuff, if you have hibiscus or lilies and things like that, and if you're reaching in there and you got and you come back out and you got a smudge of yellow on your face or the back of your arm, it's like, wow, I just got pollened, yeah. So it's could be.
So it is. Then it's the attraction.
And then that your pollens attract. The bees come after the pollen because they they want to come in and pollinate, and then they want that pollen to take back to the hive to make honey with. And so that's a lot of our trees have that. I saw some oak catkins starting. And those things are those. And I mean, yes, oak trees flower.
Yes.
They do. They they have a little catkin. It's the flowers are nondescript. We're just all familiar with the acorn. That's the fruit.
Right.
Pine trees flower. We're usually only familiar with the pine cone,
which is
after the fact, which is the fruit. So all these big trees, they all flower. They all have pollen of some sort. Grasses are a big pollen producer.
Really?
That they too bloom, and they can actually be one of your more serious allergens.
Really?
That people are allergic to, because I want to say, I'd have to ask my daughter again. It's like I think she's like allergic to bahia, and that's really
allergic to bahia.
Yeah, and that's like that's got to be That's why when she comes to Ocala, she always has to take an allergy pill before she comes. She's allergic to Ocala. And junipers.
And pollen and allergies to pollen, something I've developed in the last 4 or 5, 6 years. It was never anything.
Never
an
issue.
Me.
And there is one thing, and there is truth to it, is consuming local, capital LOCAL, local honey. Not honey just from the state of Florida, but honey that is produced within your county.
Right.
Because it has that mix of what is pollinating. it has the concert, the mix of the
From your
junipers
area.
and the wildflowers and the crepe myrtle and all of those plants that you are going to encounter on a daily basis. And if you consume some of that on a regular basis, not just during allergy season, but throughout the year, you will actually find that your reaction to these pollens diminishes or possibly even goes away if
Really?
it wasn't severe.
Huh.
And it does work.
I didn't have one, and now the last 5 or 6 years I've developed an allergy.
And it could be that there's more of something planted in your area, or sometimes that wasn't there where you used to live, that you're now encountering something that was not.
Yeah, but I've never lived more than 20 minutes from 301 in my life.
Well, but I'm just saying, what things get planted, new developments occur, things like that.
Pine trees have been a part of my life since I was born.
Right, but it may
Water
not. It
oaks
might
and
not
oak
be.
trees.
Yeah, it might not be that. It could be flowers and things in the landscape
yeah.
that are being put into subdivisions that were not in a native, natural plantings near
Well,
your.
I do go to Disney World a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of those plants aren't.
Oh yeah, they're
native.
not native. Yeah, they're definitely not native there.
What do you like? And I know as a master gardener, you know, plants are your life.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd want to be a master gardener at Disney.
I think that would be so cool.
Well, you're a master gardener.
I really do. I've seen some slideshows of some of the things they do. I would love to go and do that behind the scenes. Their horticultural program there.
They work.
It's just they
Wow.
Oh yeah, they work.
I mean, they could change the flora in less than 24 hours.
Oh yeah, they don't do the whole park.
No, they do
but
sections.
they do sections, and it is if there's a hanging basket that's beginning to look puny.
Gone.
It's gone. It's not necessarily thrown away, but it is replaced with another one that is spectacular. That one's taken back, trimmed, whatever's needed, because maybe a bird got in it and started.
Like the Flower and Garden Festival.
Oh yeah.
At Epcot.
Yeah.
They bring those flowers and plant those just for that festival.
Yeah. Well, they're growing them. They're growing them behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
But
and Christmas time.
Oh.
Christmas time with all the poinsettias.
The manpower that it must take.
Well, and a lot of it is very because they're not real permanent plantings on a lot of this. They go in rather quickly. Because they have them grown, they're a certain size, they're all the same size.
So they make the whole pop,
they
pop, 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 pop.
boop, boop, with a little auger, drop the next guy's coming through, dropping them in, somebody else
Almost
is
like
covering
an
it up.
assembly line.
Yes, very much so. But it's still, the final outcome is spectacular.
And they're only there, like you said, they're only there for 2-3 weeks sometimes.
So, right, yeah. Up to, I would say probably up to 6 weeks, but some of the plants, if it's beginning to look a little puny, somebody's going through there. And guess what? That thing's getting changed out.
Now, I still don't know the name of the flower.
Right.
But I know that we had them in my yard in Hawthorne because we bought them from Lowe's where you work.
Okay.
Actually, the Lowe's you work at.
Oh,
where we bought
okay,
them at that
okay.
day. Because they had them and
Right.
they were out of them at other
At the
Lowe's.
other, right.
And they're the purple flowers that bloom every morning, fall off every evening, and then they rebloom.
Oh, what?
And they look like it's like a flute looking. It's like.
It's Mexican petunia.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Mexican
kind of. The leaves are long and
Yeah,
thin.
the leaves are long and thin.
Yep.
And Mexican petunia.
And they come up all over the place. I mean,
Right.
the ones that
But
are on the
Disney
market
has
now.
them everywhere.
Right. Oh yeah.
Because Walt Disney's favorite color was purple.
Right.
So Disney has them
Right,
everywhere.
right. And maintained, and actually there's probably people that are going, oh my God, that's so invasive. The varieties that are out there now, the seed is pretty well sterile. They don't run as badly as they used to.
Run.
They used to run horribly, but in a place like Disney, it's not going to become an invasive plant. They maintain them. I used to maintain them for a lady that lived up in Oak, and I kept them at her fence height. It was easy to do. I came through once a month and just clip at different heights. That way it would grow. You'd have flowers throughout it. Anything that was growing past that 2-foot wide area she wanted, I get the shovel in there and dig it out.
Right.
Wasn't hard to do.
Yeah.
maintenance on some of that.
I just
but
love that they bloom every day.
They do. And the fun thing about those too is one of the reasons I love them is the big fat bumblebee bees. And yes, I do call them bumblebee bees.
The big
bumblebee that's wings. They love them. Their bodies are too big for their wings, but God never told them they couldn't fly.
Right, and you hear them.
And
They're the ones you hear.
But they get in there, and you see this flower just moving, and their butt sticking out of the end of it, and the whole flower, and it's something that amuses me and tickles me.
Every time I see it, I see it. What was the bee movie? The Disney movie about bees, and every time I see it, I think of that movie.
Right. It's one of those,
But that's one of my favorite plants because it's purple.
And it's a good dark purple. It's a great purple. It really is. I like the plant
every day.
Yeah, I like the plant as well, and I love the humor in those bumblebees that are just, the gardening and being outside brings pleasure. I mean, I can stand and watch a lizard. I can watch a lizard chase a palmetto bug across and root for the lizard.
Can we say the entire familiar line of lizards? Can we just go ahead and say?
Just say lizards.
Can we say the epicenter of the lizard world is Ocala, Florida?
We'd be stretching it because I think you're probably doing Central and South America.
Have you been to the Cascades where we used to be as a radio station?
That's a little microclimate there. I mean, that and all the turtles that are there.
Somebody the other day planted something in our neighborhood.
Okay.
That I thought, that's a little weird. But maybe you know the reasoning why, other than maybe they like it aesthetically.
Okay.
They put big sawgrass plants in their yard.
Probably wasn't sawgrass.
That's what he said it was.
Really?
He said it was sawgrass.
Because, was he possibly calling Pampas grass sawgrass? To me, Pampas grass is sawgrass or is related to it. Just run your hand across that stuff.
Right. This was the kind that would slice you if you ran your hand across.
Yeah, it's a chance that was actually Pampas grass.
But does it really grow that well in the center of the state? Because it's
Pampas grass does, and there's a lot of ornamental.
Sawgrass was more of a beachy.
Water, and maybe his area's got some gumbo underneath there, and it stays a little wet.
It's same
as yours,
and don't get me wrong, our yard stays a little wet.
If it's Pampas grass, it's fine. If it's actually sawgrass, it may struggle. But then again, if he has an irrigation system,
which he does,
he's putting something that this is where I at times can have problems with people trying to plant native plants that aren't in their native location. A beachy or a riverbank plant doesn't.
Carolina is Florida.
Yeah, it's native. If native to Florida, but unless you're on that marsh bank. It may not be the proper place for it. So depending on actually what it truly is, because we have a lot of ornamental grass.
But it could have been a Pampas grass.
It could have been because Pampas grass is sharp. That's one reason I don't like it. I can deal with the other grasses. Some people don't like the grasses because they feel they attract snakes. Uh-huh. Plants don't attract animals. They might attract birds, but they don't attract necessarily. It does give hiding place and cover. But it's not something that goes, oh, look, the snake goes, oh, look, there's grass. I can go.
And he did it in a very cool way. He only put 4 of them in.
Okay.
And he created the 4 to create like a little square in part of his backyard.
Okay.
And then he put some stones around it to create it.
Okay.
And to create like a little patio there with a fire pit in the middle of it.
Okay. So it gives some, it'll give some sound because that's one thing that grasses do give sound and movement in a garden. And especially if you're creating a seating area, if you're not going to put a water feature in, that sound might be what he was after.
With the
grass moving with a breeze. Grasses are great, because they are so low maintenance.
And these were when he put them in. He had a company come in.
Okay, then they were probably good 6 footers.
They were 6 foot.
Yeah, full grown.
They were big grass plants.
Wow, he paid big dollars.
I said, how much you pay for those? He goes, it's 4 digits.
Oh.
So
yeah,
he brought 4 of them in. I guess he paid under $10,000.
Well, you say if it was 4 digits and it could have started with a 4, you got one of each.
Right,
Yeah,
so
on that size,
I don't know how much
and
it costs,
installed,
but, yeah.
and delivered and installed.
Well, that's the thing. They were installed.
they were delivered
too.
and installed. So that's
And the only reason and this maybe Pampas Grass needs it too, they installed it and then they put soaker hoses there.
Sure. You've got to do something in order to keep that root ball moist until they get established. And any plant, especially something larger, you may be still putting supplemental water. You back it down to once every 10 days or so, 2 weeks, as the plant gets more established, for up to a year.
Really?
Yeah. That you may need to before it can be left on to its own. Because the grasses, once they're established, they're on their own. Every spring we cut them back a good ways, let them, that way you can clean out all the dead stuff out of them. They don't even need a lot of fertilizer. So they're pretty well low maintenance. Once a year, whack them back, let them come back and do their thing.
622-9622 is the number to call to speak with Master Gardener Carol Ann Baldwin on In the Garden. 622-9622 for any questions you may have about your garden, your flower beds, your grass, your trees. Speaking of trees, on December 17th of last year, 2020,
right,
City of Ocala was named a 2020 Tree City USA by the Arbor Day Foundation in honor of its commitment to effective urban forest management. What the hell is urban forest management?
Urban forest management is because it is the city of Ocala. So it is that the city is, there are, I think it's 4 criteria.
Yeah, the criteria are tree care ordinance, an annual community forestry budget of at least $2 per capita, an Arbor Day observance or proclamation, and a tree board or department.
Right. So it's that being good stewards. Our downtown area,
the oak trees,
on Silver Springs Boulevard, the palm trees, everything in that area. Encouraging and or requiring businesses and residential areas within the city limits that have had to remove trees, whether or not they were diseased or whatever, and replace them. That's the big thing of that, the replacement of an equal plant.
I would like to say I don't know what you mean by that, but when we were opening Mellow Mushroom in Gainesville, we had to get with the city arborist,
right?
Because 3 Chinaberry trees that were
which are an invasive species.
They were breaking the parking lot and everything, and then there were some nasty bushes and everything.
Right, just some overgrown stuff.
We want all this to go.
Right.
And the arborist perfectly fine. There were 2 water oaks we wanted to go.
Right. Some stuff that just wasn't
perfectly fine.
Right.
I'll submit a plan
for your permit for this
to remove it. Then you have to contact this person. They gave us a person to get in contact with, a landscape designer. Said then put your plans with the city and we'll approve them or not approve them.
Right.
We had to put 2 sago palms in at $3,000 a sago.
That's
to help with some of the bushes. We had to put some trees in.
I would have thought you would have had an option on some of that.
Well, we did.
Yeah.
But the sagos look better for what we're doing and everything. The whole thing, we took out with the tree service and everything, about $9,000 to take everything out.
Yeah. Take it out and haul it off.
$23,000, put everything back in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was literally $32,000 just in the landscape.
Just in landscape, right.
And they called it a landscape redesign.
Right.
But it had to be approved by the city of Gainesville.
And it does.
Because we took trees out, they wanted something to replace them that were the same or equal in the city's mind.
Right, within the aesthetic value of the city limits and things like that.
Every time I drive by 1201 West University to this day, which is now it's a sports bar, something out of
right, something different,
But every time I drive by, I look and the foliage is still what we put in.
Right, because they
go, you're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Right. But it increased the value.
Yeah,
it increased the value of that property because they didn't have to change it. But it is. It's also going down 25th Avenue. You've got shade down the sidewalks because the crepe myrtles.
Going down Fifth Avenue.
Going down Fifth Avenue. Yeah,
in
you've
the
got
historic district.
It prevents somebody from going, hey, listen, I'm just going to throw a shed up here, and you know what, that tree's in my way.
That tree's 230 years old, but it's coming down.
It's in my way. I'll take it down on a Sunday.
When nobody's
watching. Well, when your neighbor catches you and Monday morning, you have somebody from code enforcement coming because you did, yeah.
But Carolina, it's my yard.
Oh, yeah, but still, you're within the city limits, and there's certain things you're supposed to follow.
So the Tree City USA communities see the impact of an urban forest has on its community firsthand. This according to Dan Lamb, the president of the Arbor Day Foundation. Trees being planted and cared for by Ocala are ensuring that generations to come will enjoy a better quality of life.
Right. And some of it is to also maintaining and watching the health of the trees within the parks in the city. And when they have the Arbor Day Foundation kind of things, it usually also includes tree giveaways of native trees or trees that will do well in this area. So if somebody has that vacant postage stamp lot that has their house on it, but they were only required to put up some hedges and one tree in the backyard. People are looking to replace, and these are the trees that Arbor Day Foundation and the city of Ocala provide.
We have in our backyard 2 40-foot oaks.
Yeah.
That are side by side with each other. They're they're not close enough where they're intertwining.
Right, but
they're
I'll give you wonderful shade and.
That the backyard and the back part of the house,
it's wonderful to use.
100%.
Yeah.
The coolness compared to the front of the house where the sun beams in.
And if you live in a neighborhood that has a lot of trees and a lot of landscaping and things like that, not just open lawns, when you drive into that neighborhood off of the main thoroughfares and such, you feel that temperature drop. I mean, you can watch it on your car thermometer because I can do that, coming into mine.
I used to live in Ocala Park Place.
Okay.
Which is the condominium community directly catty corner on 2nd Street from the Cascades.
Okay.
You got the Cascades,
right,
the convenience store,
and right behind
across
there,
the street the convenience store.
Right.
And it has foliage for days.
Yes.
When you drive into there, it's a gated community.
Right.
When you drive in, it's like you drove into your own little oasis.
Right, because it's nice.
Because of all and there's tropical plants
and that's the encouragement, and that's the encouragement of the city of Ocala and the tree and all of that to require that be something that is
8-foot tall chain link with honeysuckle
growing across it.
It's like a privacy fence.
Right.
It keeps out, even though 2nd Street is right behind you and the buses go by.
You don't hear it.
It's quiet because that honeysuckle
is
probably
masking. Yeah.
When it dies in the wintertime, you see vines that are about 1.5 feet thick.
Right.
On each side.
Right.
So that's the kind of stuff you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
That goes into one of these awards.
One of these, right. That this is part of that is encouragement. Plus, you see, plantings right, downtown square in front of businesses and things like that. I mean, it beautifies our community. It puts pride within our community to have, some of this, designations and things like that. It just is a little tick in an almanac when somebody does a search on a community search. It might be something that would encourage someone in a way to maybe move their business or just move here because the community takes pride in providing more natural areas and things like that.
Well, Tree City USA says with recognition, Ocala has demonstrated a commitment to effective urban forest management and doing its part to help address these challenges that are presented to Ocala for its residents now and in the future.
Right.
So Ocala Arbor, Tree City USA named a 2020 Tree City USA Arbor Town.
Right. And we've had the designation before. We've had that designation, and there was another one that we had it's been years, probably before.
We were designated as one of the best little cities in America.
We were the best little city, but it was another one that had to do with, it was like a beautification, but it had to do with plants and with that. And that's when a lot of the big planters went in around the downtown areas on Broadway and Fort King and things like that, where they were planted and maintained some of the hanging baskets that hang off the street lights and that. So, yeah, we do a lot of good things for our community.
The guys that go around and water those plant buckets and everything, they do it. It keeps them busy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's quite a
Carol
bit to
Ann,
be
how
done.
can they find you?
They can find me on In the Garden on Facebook, the Facebook group page, and also hunt me up down there in Lowe's when you're in town. And actually, I'll say hi to the one listener who listens off and on when he's in his delivery vehicle. I didn't catch his name, but he came by the store and said hi the other day.
Well, there you go. So hello to you that came by the store, even though she didn't catch his name.
He's a delivery guy. He listens in and out of his van.
Carol Ann Baldwin, talk to you next week.
Yep.
WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with Lance Pry.
The North Carolina Republican Party Central Committee